Tree Talking Time is brought to you by Conkeys Outdoors. Get all your hound hunting needs at conkeys.com. Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs, from the smallest fights to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game.
I want to hear how the start of your season was also for the Laikas.
Yeah, we've got a lot of catching up to do just with about the Laikas in general, because when we recorded our first interview, you were in your first kill season.
See, you have 2 kill seasons to talk about.
Well, yeah, I killed one bear in the prior season, and I was going on the second, technically would be considered second season of us actually treeing bears.
Yeah.
But the first season we only got one.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't find anyone else to convince that it can be done. So people I used my tag and that was it.
Yeah.
And, back then I didn't even realize that I can go to other states.
Mm-hmm. But you've done a lot of traveling since then.
Oh, yeah.
How many states have you hunted?
Bear hunting?
Yeah.
Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee. That's it.
Okay. That's still quite a few.
Yeah. I could go to Kentucky, but because they just opened up the season for non-residents with dogs.
Okay.
But the truth is, like all the states around here, they have the December general season, which December I clearly just for the convenience of it, I stay in Virginia. Mm-hmm. But the early seasons, it's as almost as if all the game commissions and natural resource departments, whatever, kind of coordinated that the early seasons don't overlap.
Okay.
So there'll be one in West Virginia, real early September. Mm-hmm. Then there'll be another one in October. Then November is North Carolina in the mountains, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, so like every month throughout the fall, I can find an early season somewhere.
Yeah.
And then Virginia has its own early season, which been.
Did they have an early season this year?
In the southern part.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought some of that was taken. I knew some of that was taken away.
Yeah. Yep.
But you do a fair amount of traveling because, even locally.
Well, I showed you that.
An hour?
Yeah, I showed you that little map that I have on Onyx where I mark all the bears with tree and or kill, and I color code them for like every season, every year, different color of the waypoint thingy. And that way I know that, okay, I took like 2, 3, 4 bears out of this county, out of this section of National Forest. That way I know that I'm going to leave this alone for the next few years, and I go to some other place.
Mm-hmm. But you're not afraid to go somewhere you've never been, which I just think this says a lot about you. A lot of guys don't do that, so.
Well, I guess, truth be told, I still feel that I'm sort of, how should I put it? I kind of invited myself into this hound hunting or bear hunting community culture here in the United States. And as such, as being a guest, I need to somewhat respect the people that have been here before me. So if I stayed in the same area and, continued to hunt, at some point people would start saying, well, we've been here before you and look what you're doing now. So I try not to put too much pressure on one spot.
On one area.
And that's one of the reasons I just try to avoid controversy or drama. And that's why I go to a new place all the time. And it's sort of a challenge in itself. Like use Onyx, find some, not necessarily national forest, but public land. Typically ends up being national forest.
Yeah.
Make sure the season is in. It gets confusing to you, of course. So like people would be asking me, hey, like earlier today, just not long ago, Erik said, well, tell us about how the earlier part of this season went. Yeah. And I'm like, man, where did I go? So
yeah, you have trouble remembering.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But it gets, because the regulations are slightly different. Like North Carolina is probably the most confusing, because public land has only like 2 short segments of 3 days each.
Okay.
Saturday, Monday, Tuesday. I guess you cannot hunt there on Sundays with dogs on public. So just all kinds of weird stuff. So
Yeah.
try to keep track of it is hard, but I have all the PDFs of all the regulations saved in my phone.
There you go.
So I always open them up and check and make sure. And still, every now and again, I'd be like, okay, I think I'm going to go. Well, not every now. Occasionally it happens where I'm like, someone would ask me, hey, where are you going next week? And I'm like, I'm going to North Carolina to the swamp. And then the person would be like, hold on a second. You can't go there next week. It's the following week.
Okay.
Oh, what was I thinking? So it's just too much information to keep in mind.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
At all times.
It's hard to keep one state, one area straight,
Right. Yeah.
yet alone multiple. So,
But again, I guess part of it is I try to avoid drama and pissing off people, basically.
mm-hmm. I understand.
Just don't like the tension, confrontational. But anyways, that's it.
But this week's been a pretty cool week. I know Erik came over from Sweden. So for the listeners, we've got Erik, who was on episode, what'd you say, 66?
66, yep.
And then Alex was on episode 3.
Yeah.
It was like you were real early on. So we're talking about Laikas. You guys have had a pretty epic week. Well, Alex has an epic season every year, because he goes all out every year. Do you have a job? I mean, I really have to wonder.
Yeah. Now I wonder. I actually have at least 2. I'm thinking about starting a third one. So yeah. Yeah, I don't want to go into that. That's because that's not fun.
Yeah.
That part's not fun.
Well, whatever you do, it allows you to have a lot of fun.
Let's just put it this way. I do pay taxes. So
that's what matters.
Yeah.
So, well, how, you guys had a pretty crazy week. I know, Erik, how long was the flight over?
Yeah, so I started traveling on Thursday, the last of November. Drove in Sweden for 4 hours to get closer to the airport, and then the airport took off at 8 a.m. on the Friday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went to Denmark, changed plane there, and then we flew to Dulles, IID.
Yeah, Washington, D.C., basically.
Washington, D.C. airport. And that plane-wise, it was 12 hours in total from Stockholm to land in Washington.
Jeez.
And then, a day before, Alex said well, my first idea was I'm going to travel on Friday, and then I'm going to sleep somewhere close by where Alex was for Saturday and Sunday to not get jet lagged and not get too tired. And Alex was like, we changed the plans, but we're going down to Tennessee. So
we're going to hunt next morning.
Yeah, we're going to hunt Saturday morning. So I landed, got through customs, which took an hour or so.
Yeah, not too bad.
It wasn't too bad, actually. And then we drove for 7 hours south
straight
Washington,
to Tennessee.
Straight down in Tennessee. Found a hotel or motel or what you want to call it. Slept for 3.5 hours. Went to a Waffle House.
I think that was the best experience, though.
Yeah, that Waffle House was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Then drove up into the mountains in Tennessee. Met up with a guy called Tony on the way.
Yeah.
And let the dogs out.
And that's when things went crazy.
Yeah, that's when things started to take off, I think. Yeah, so
I don't know. We could probably go step by step through each hunt, but I don't know if it's going to get too boring because we had a lot of action going on.
I think we can do step by step on
at
least the 2 bears I got.
Yeah, I'd like the 2 bears you got this week.
Okay.
Yeah, so on Saturday we went mountains in Tennessee. I think the first hour or hour and a half were kind of quiet, and then they struck a bear that they started to chase.
I think Booch had jumped.
Yeah,
one
Booch.
of my females jumped it, pushed it across the trail in front of us, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that bear did not want to stop, so it kept going. And then at the end, only Sever was still chasing it.
Yeah, all the dogs just quit. Because the mountains in Tennessee, for those that you guys never been to Tennessee, those mountains are tough. They're taller, all right, but that's not that. It's just how steep they are, and it's mountain laurels pretty much everywhere. It's thick stuff. We have mountain laurels here in Virginia. We have some steep mountains, but over there, everything is like that, steep and mountain laurels.
And it's pretty bad when Alex is telling you it's tough. That means it's real tough because Alex.
Well, all my dogs except for one gave up on that bear.
Yeah.
They just quit and came back. Even the hound, because I'm training a hound right now, and even he's like, "Yeah, no, I'm not going to chase that thing anymore because it's just up and down." We lost, Garmin lost connection with the collars. Like for a long time, we had no idea. Plus the mountains that I don't know if I'm assuming they also call them hollers over there, but we're in the holler. But the walls are so steep on each side.
Yeah.
And then we hear some hounds or some dogs barking. It's like, is it coming this way? No, wait, it's coming this because the echo.
Yeah.
So confusing. So, and then we did hear some other people's hounds, and then we actually did see some hound that came by. He seemed lost.
And by that time, we
were lost at that point.
Yeah, and we weren't sure Sever actually
no
had
idea.
something because he was probably off Garmin for an hour.
Yeah.
And then he was just slowly moving his way back, and we were like, yeah, he's probably lost. That one is just trying to find us now.
Yeah, he went across a couple mountain ridges and then came out. He kind of made a half circle, and then he popped up again on the Garmin.
Okay.
The male, I'm talking about the male that I have. And started slowly making his way towards us, although I don't think he knew where we were. He was later on that we found out that he was still chasing that bear, following that bear because he was exhausted. And so we're just like, okay, he's coming this way. So we just decided to kind of rest some and just stay still for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened?
Yeah, well, then we had tumbling coming down the mountainside when Sever was still maybe 3
Yeah, and I look at the Garmin, and the male is 300 plus yards, and something is in the laurels.
Coming down towards the trail. And then he passed us, I don't know, 150 yards away. And then as the bear goes by, with the Laikas, they use both sense and sound and
so we had, we were standing there on that trail. We had Polka, the little female that Tony owns, the guy that lives there in Tennessee. So she went after that, and she started barking.
Okay.
And I was like, yep, that's a bear. And at that point, everything came. I understood what was happening. Because initially, I was like, I didn't know. Maybe they were chasing a coyote. Maybe they were chasing whatever. But when Polka started barking, and you could tell she was barking, really excited.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah.
And then we started making it over there, and we get within, I would say, 200 yards. And then it's just, from my point of view, that cliffside is like, you don't go up that cliffside. And Alex was like, here's the gun. If the bear is a good size, bigger than Sever, the male, then you shoot it. And I was like, I can barely see my hand if I straight it forward because it's just thicker mountain laurel.
Yeah.
So I grabbed the gun and I start basically going on all my fours. That's the only way to get uphill, actually. And I get within, because I don't have a Garmin, so I can only go by the sound of the dogs.
So hold on, I'm going to interrupt.
Yeah.
What Erik didn't mention was that once Polka got on that bear, then another female of mine got joined, and they started working that bear. He still refused to climb.
Mm-hmm.
He was fighting on the ground for a couple. We kept, fortunately for us, they were going parallel to a trail.
Okay.
Going up steep, but still, and we still couldn't see him, and they were just slowly pushing, and bear fighting, and there's all kinds of sounds that you don't want to hear. So when we got finally the bear stopped, that's when I told Erik. I said, "We're not, because if we were all of us to try to go in through that thicket, the bear's probably going to spook and run."
Yeah.
I said, "Here's the gun. If the bear is legal, take him." And so I sent him in by himself.
And bear in mind, this is after I traveled for over 24 hours, slept for 3.5 hours. I have not seen a black bear in my life before. I have, So then I just keep crawling upwards, and when I get to within 10 yards, I would say, then we also had a young pup, the Laika pup.
Oh yeah, that little. Yeah,
so we had a 6-month-old Laika with us. That first, he decided to follow me in. So when I'm on 10 yards, he runs forward and starts barking at the bear as well. And then I realized like this is very close, because then at that point I see the tail on the pup barking. So then I move forward another 3-4 yards, and then I see 3 of the 5 dogs, because at that point I know all Alex 3 Laikas and Tony's pup and Tony's Polka is barking. So I need to locate the bear, and I need to locate 5 dogs before I can get a safe shot of.
Mhm.
So I get to like maybe 5-6 yards, and at that point I actually see the bear. It's on the ground with 3 dogs on my side. So I have 3 dogs towards me, and the bear is on the other side of the dogs.
Yeah.
So at that time I feel kind of like the bear has to go through the dogs to get closer to me. So then I take 2-3 more steps forward, and then I see the other 2 dogs, and then I'm just what felt like 5 minutes in reality is probably 20 seconds. I'm just waiting to get a clear shot, and then one of the older females, I'm still not sure to this if it was Bucha or Kuma, that moves a little bit forward to the bear, and then the bear tries to grab the dog. So then all dogs jump 2-3 feet backwards, and then I take a good shot.
Mhm.
And
Now-
the bear drops basically on the shot.
Yeah. Now, you're kind of used to that style of hunting because you hunt wild boar with your Laikas, right?
Yeah, so like looking back at it, now we're gonna get to my second bear in Virginia in a bit, but a shot like that, I felt more comfortable taking that than the one I did in Virginia when it was treed.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to hunting bayed game in thickets. Now the terrain, when it goes that steep up, I'm not used to that, but like thick laurels, it wouldn't be laurels. In Sweden, it would be like thick spruce trees and like growing forest that's very thick. Or even when you're towards lakes, it would be willows and whatnot. So in the moment, with all the adrenaline and dogs going around, like I didn't really think, I just acted.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Well, I'm just saying, like, for most guys, or would not be confident to take that shot. And it says a lot about Alex, like, to hand you a gun. Like, most guys would not be like, here, go shoot that bayed bear with my dogs right around it. A lot of guys are a lot more nervous about that because most people aren't confident in that kind of moment. So,
well, yeah, I don't really know exactly what. Well, that bear. It's hard to explain because there wasn't just one thing that went through my mind, but just the fact that Erik kind of felt he acted confident enough.
Yeah,
and I kind of thought that I could trust him. Plus the 45-70, that thing just hit him anywhere and it's dead.
No, I'm just saying it says a lot because, like I said, most people aren't confident taking that kind of shot. So going into that kind of situation, especially the first time you've ever seen a black bear.
yeah, that was amazing. That like really.
Surprisingly, the dogs didn't get hurt that much. There were a couple tiny bite marks here and there, but all's well that ends well.
Yeah. So yeah, like, well, the most thing that went through my mind just before I was taking the shot would be, are all the dogs safe?
Yeah.
Like I didn't have time to think about, oh, it's a bear, it can be dangerous for me or anything like that. The only thing that went through my mind was like, I need a clear, safe shot when all dogs are safely away from the bear.
Yeah.
But as you said, like, huge respect for Alex for trusting me enough to let me go in, and like, yeah, there was an amazing start for a hunting trip to America. That's for sure.
Yep.
And then I got to experience my first pack out, which is something I think everyone should experience once in a while. That was something. And the thing is, where we parked the cars in the morning, all our hiking was basically downhill.
Before they struck, yes.
Before we
After
struck.
the bear was on the ground, we had to go back up.
Yeah. So when the bear was on the ground, it was a bit climbing. But basically when we did the pack out, it was all uphill.
Oof.
And that felt waking up the next day.
Yeah. But would you say by the end of this trip, your legs and your body is more of in a mountain shape? Do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm...
Yeah, so it really doesn't take much. You get used to it fairly quickly.
Yeah.
If you do it every day.
The thing is,
sure.
The one thing I still can't get used to is like the amount of rocks and leaves on the ground.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't have that much leaf trees that you have here, or at least in Tennessee and Virginia. Like we would have a lot more spruce and pine only.
Yeah.
So like walking on slippery leaves and rocks.
The scariest one, and I think it was Fred Bear that said it. Although, nowadays you can't really trust the internet because they'll put a picture with some motivational quote or something, and then they would say that this person said it. Who knows? Anyways, someone said that when you're while hunting or hiking in the woods, if you can step over something, step over it, don't step on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the rule that I've been following, and it saved my limbs and legs many times, because sometimes you step. The worst one is the stick that's laying kind of under, perhaps covered with leaves, and you're side heeling, and there'll be a stick, and you step on it, and your foot just slides down on that stick downhill.
Yeah, I know
Worst
all
one.
about it.
Yeah.
I experienced that a couple times yesterday.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
I couldn't stay on my feet yesterday.
Yeah. So whenever you see something, same with rocks or fallen logs, and also when you're approaching a tree with a bear, especially if it's just one dog or two dogs like we had yesterday, if you step over stuff instead of stepping on, you'll make less noise, so that branches won't snap and such, but also it won't crack and you won't lose balance and so on. So whenever it's possible, that's the rule I've been following, and it's been great.
Yeah.
It's just step over it if you can.
Definitely. Yeah. So that was last Saturday.
Yep, that was last Saturday. So first day of hunting in.
And then Sunday you guys hunted Tennessee again, right?
Yeah, and then we got another one.
Yeah. That one was easy. We just hiked up and actually, I hope I'm not giving away too much information, but we picked this road on the mountain, and we started hiking, and we get to a spot where I guess the main road where people use on most of their cars, that's somewhat in a maintained condition.
Yeah.
Where it ends up at a creek, and then beyond that it becomes really rocky and whatnot. Yeah. There's a sign on the tree saying something like aggressive bear behavior in the area. Please do not no camping and so on. And I'm like, yep, that's the place we want to be in.
There you go.
And then we went another half mile or so, and then they struck a tree within a couple 100 yards. That one was really easy. In fact, we got in. There was a trail. We used the trail to get a little closer. We saw the bear. It came out, treed again, 20 yards or so, and then Tony went in and took it.
Nice.
Yeah. And those bears, just like simply because it's a little further south, we're talking mountains, steep mountains, but warmer climate, I'm assuming would be fair to say. They seem to be on average bigger than what we have in the mountains here in Virginia.
Okay.
Just simply, I guess, because it's a little further south, maybe they have more comfortable conditions, living, more food throughout the year. So yeah, it's kind of nice because we very seldom we get to on public land we get to tree some bears as nice as down there. So yeah, it's worth to travel.
There you go.
And what humbling Alex is not telling now is that's the first time we hit those mountains, or he hit those mountains as well.
Yeah.
So it was completely unhunted ground for Alex and his dogs as well.
But we have Onyx, so I can't really take any credit for that.
Well, I would say everyone has access to Onyx. Doesn't mean everyone can go to a new state and get 2 bears in 2 days. But
yeah.
Anyways, back to Virginia.
Yeah, so then we traveled from Tennessee to Virginia. We take Monday off, which is actually the opening day in Virginia. But as we had success in Tennessee.
Yeah, felt so weird. Everyone on Facebook posting pictures like, going out opening day, and we're letting the dogs rest.
Yeah. But I think that was the correct.
Yeah, of course. We needed dogs to recover.
And I'm at least gonna say it. I needed a day off as well. Alex might not say he needed 1 day off, but I definitely needed one day off.
Clearly, by the sound of my voice, you can tell that I needed more rest than I ended up getting.
Yeah. So then it's Tuesday. On Tuesday we hike, and we hike a lot, and we tree a small one.
Oh yeah.
That we tree in free.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And then we find a bigger one that we
did. I don't know. I don't remember how many miles we did. 20 miles.
We did 20 miles that day.
And so the dogs did.
Yeah.
The hound. I know the hound did 40 or 41 miles.
I remember you posting that on your story the other day. Yeah.
And then the Laikas did. One of them did 36 or something. So they were exhausted.
Yeah.
And then in the end of that day, they get on a nice bear.
Yep.
I mean, of course, when it's on the ground, not that far from, because we got to see it for a split second. Looked pretty nice. But the dogs pushed it, and they just got exhausted, and they gave up eventually.
Gotcha.
They pushed it for a while. Right?
Oh, they pushed it for like 1.5 miles before they came back.
If we could jump in the truck and drive around real quick, and yeah, that may have been a different story. But
There were no roads there.
That was not an option, fortunately.
Yeah, so we did full day of hike on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like, I work with walking back home.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was in good shape. Well, technically, I guess I am in okay shape, at least by now, I think. But like, my body was hurting in places it shouldn't hurt. And I think we were going back to the car, and Alex says it's 4 miles left to the car. And by now, when I've hunted in Virginia and Tennessee mountains for a few more days, I know 4 miles on a Garmin unit is not 4 miles walking.
Yeah.
There was like 8 or 9 miles walking.
Yeah,
And
and
I know that,
I also I have to admit that I tend to slightly what's the word? I'm trying to motivate people by telling them it's less than it actually is. So, because if I told them it's 20 miles to a truck, he'll just lay down and cry. And you tell him, oh, it's only a couple more miles. Let's go. And off we go. And
I figured that out on day 1, though. But I still like the gesture, but yeah. So then on Wednesday, we decided to only take 2 of your dogs, Alex.
Yeah, because the dogs were not getting rest. So we picked the 2 that were in a decent shape still.
Mm-hmm.
Well, kind of, they decided themselves, right?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
the other dogs didn't want to leave the kennel.
Yeah, I opened the kennel and only 2 came out, and the rest like, nope, we're not
There
coming
you go.
out. They were exhausted.
So then we hit a new trail in Virginia,
Yep.
and we get about a mile in, I think, and then they start cold trailing for about a mile,
Yep.
and then we think they cold trail for about a mile, and then then they jump the bear.
Yeah, and see, it's always difficult to know exactly what they're doing because they're quiet on
Yeah.
track. So whether they jumped it or they're still cold trailing, it's hard to tell because they're not barking.
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyways, yeah, they eventually tree that bear.
And we have to hike around the mountain to get in area or get in distance.
Yeah.
And that was one of the most emotional roller coaster I had on this hunt, because we get it within 100 yards. Both Kuma and Sever is doing a fantastic job with the tree. And we see the bear on, I think, 100 yards-ish away. And from that distance, it looked like a nice size
It
bear.
looked huge.
Yeah, like
I mean, it was just ginormous.
Alex was like, oh, we need to get there now and we need to take this bear. This is a nice size bear. And then we realized that, well, we can't get there because the terrain is so steep, so we need to...
And the bear was already trying to come down the tree.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was getting nervous.
He was jumpy with only 2 dogs on him.
Yeah.
So we decided to hike up the hill a bit further away, and then what would you call it, like side hilling?
Yeah, I usually try
same
to
elevation.
get about the same elevation, find a game trail, and
Mhm.
you follow that game trail. So instead of coming down or from down, coming up from down below, I would give it some distance and go up to the same level, find a game trail, and slowly, quietly try to approach.
Yeah.
Especially in the morning when thermals are pushing up. That way, if you're on the same level, your scent is going up, so the bear at least not going to smell you.
Mhm.
He will still see you before you get to see him.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of bear being in it. Just like deer hunting out of a tree stand. We get up there in the tree stand because, not to get completely sidetracked, but when I started deer hunting, I was hunting out of a ground blind.
Yeah.
Because it was just easier to. And so I missed out on so much fun because you can only see this much out of a ground blind.
Oh, yeah. You can't.
you-
Your view is way more limited than.
Yeah, you get
A
up
tree
in a
stand.
tree and you get to see all kinds of fun stuff going on in the woods. So same thing here. It'll still see you before you see it, before you see him typically.
Yeah, and then after this 5 minutes of going straight up, and then we find a good game trail on the same elevation. And at that time, I think we're 80 yards
Yeah.
away, and then the bear crawls up like in a Y fork of a oak
Yeah.
tree. So then it looks like
Almost
We-
looks like a cub.
we're gonna have to free this. This is a small size bear.
Yeah.
And then we move 30 yards more, and then he climbs up.
Yeah, he sees us and he goes up a little bit and he's moving and now he looks big again. And I'm like, what's going on? I swear, at some point I thought we were looking at 2 different trees, 2 different bear.
Yeah.
That's how confusing it was. Because like, is that a mother and a cub situation? Because I just saw a big one, and then just like Erik said, it kind of set down in a little, like a
fork.
Yeah, it looked small, and then it goes up again. I'm like, is that two different trees? Two different bears we're looking at? No, it was the same bear.
So at that time, I asked Alex if he's like we need to make sure that we didn't see a mother that it was a cub and a bigger one. So then we actually get to the tree, and we take a longer time to assess the size of the bear, and we take pictures. And at that time, we're 15 yards away from the tree, and then the bear and Alex said this is the first time he sees, and the bear just lays down on
like a squirrel would.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Like
Laid flat. Yeah. To the point where, and he actually laid his head down like he was falling asleep or playing dead.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, the dogs went quiet because they okay, because you've seen it yesterday when the bear was killed and it was dead. The dogs stopped barking. Like, okay, what's the point? I'm pretty sure that's what that bear was doing. It was tricking those dogs to just leave now.
Just getting comfortable.
And so then we decided it's a good.
No, it definitely was a decent bear.
Yeah, and it was a good sized boar once we got it down. But like that shot, I was so much more worried about because the bear was laying flat.
Yeah.
In my eyes, I had way too much time to think. Where should I shoot? Which tree should I lean on?
Yeah.
Is this gonna be a good shot? Is this gonna be a bad shot? Like a shot like that was a lot more struggle for me than the one I did in Tennessee on bait, because on the ground with the bait, like you don't have any time to like overthink anything. You just have to act. As soon as you have an opening, you need to take it.
Yeah.
But it ended up good, and we got that down as well.
Nice.
Yep, and then we went out a couple more times. I don't even remember exactly what
We got Thursday?
Maybe, probably.
No, we rested Thursday, and then we went out Friday,
Okay.
and then we went out Saturday.
Because Friday's when you got the bobcat.
Yeah, Friday we got the bobcat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was cool, too.
And you guys killed a bear on Friday, too.
Yeah, that one didn't go as planned. We had a guy that wanted to shoot a bear. Came out with us, never been bear hunting before. And so Sever goes off at first light. We'll let the dogs out. Sever immediately goes off and trees something. I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be a quick hunt.
Yeah.
We get there, and it's a cat. And I've been trying to get a bobcat with my dogs. And
well,
I think
2 years ago we talked about it, and you were saying, this winter I'm going to try and go do some bobcat hunting.
Like in January, February, I would be out there all day looking for tracks. If there's any snow on the ground, I'd be out there looking. And we spent so much time. It's insane. And still never. I mean, we treed a few. Every time I would try to get to a tree, it would jump.
Yeah.
Run for half a mile or so, whatever, and then tree again. And then at some point, it would either jump a creek. And we may have talked about it back then, but it doesn't matter. But so I could never see the actual cat. I saw the prints in the snow where it jumped out and all that.
Yeah.
To the point where I knew now, whenever my older dogs were on a cat, I would just tone them. Because we're here bear hunting. I don't want you to exhaust yourselves chasing that cat that you're never going to catch anyways. Or if you do, when I get there, the cat's going to bail again. Let's not waste time. As soon as I see that pattern, I would tone them. Yeah. And eventually they stopped chasing cats, and I gave up on it altogether. But now I have this new male that never been through this. And he was like, ooh, that smells interesting. Let me go and see if I can catch it. And so he did.
Nice.
But because I was so excited, I asked the guy that was there bear hunting with us. He was the hunter for the day. I said, hey, do you mind if I take it? And so he's like, yeah, no problem. So I take the cat, we go back to the truck, put it on ice.
No, stop here. What listeners can't see now is Alex's smile is still ear to ear now when it's a few days ago. Alex got so happy. And that was so fun to see that he has to experience something new, because everything for this trip for me has been brand new.
Yeah.
But it was so fun to see Alex experience something that he's been striving for so long.
No, seriously. You're not lying. Yesterday's bear was number 50 for this season, treed. And I would trade all those 50 bears for another cat. Like I'm telling you, I'm fascinated by cats.
It's a pretty cat too.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever tree another one, but we'll try. I'm gonna try again.
There you go.
With a male.
Conkeys Outdoors is proud to be a sponsor of Tree Talking Time. Family, hunting, tradition is the Conkeys motto. They understand the importance of passing down the tradition of hound hunting. They are a family-owned business that treats you like family. They also understand the importance of having the gear you need when you need it. Conkeys carries everything for your next hunt, and it ships to your door quick. They also offer great warranties on all tracking systems and financing options. Check them out at conkeys.com. You can also use the code TreeTalkingTime5 in all caps to save as well.
And then, we continued hunting. The dogs got on the bear. A smaller boar, again, legal, but mean one. As we approached, he got out, started fighting the dogs. And then we had another houndsman with us, with young hounds in training, a friend of mine. He just wanted to tag along and get his dogs exposed to some bear action. He had a tag, and he didn't have a gun, but he had his 10 millimeter. And when the bear came out in the thicket, and his young hounds were there, and they were all start fighting, he just went in and he finished that bear.
Yeah.
So the hunter of that day, didn't get to shoot his bear, and he saw me take the cat out with his rifle. So I kind of feel bad, but I'll take him hunting later this season.
Yeah.
We'll get him a bear. We'll get him one.
And then yesterday, we've been talking since we recorded that podcast about me coming down and doing some hunting with you. And so yesterday I finally made it happen, and I got down there, and you had a friend and his 11-year-old daughter got to to go. And
I'm just going to say it again. I really appreciate all the guys that showed up yesterday to help out with the pack out for that girl. Because I was in no shape of carrying. I barely got myself off of that mountain yesterday. But the guys helped with the meat and everything. It was great. They stayed up till 3 o'clock, the whole family. Because I talked to Victor yesterday. They stayed up till 3 o'clock processing all the meat.
Oh, wow.
And they ground some of it into burger. They cut up some better pieces. They're going to cook it later on, put it in the freezer.
Mm-hmm.
So they were so excited.
That's awesome.
And the younger daughter, so the one that was the hunting yesterday, she's 11. The younger daughter, I think she's 9. That's Victor telling me, the father of the girl that killed the bear yesterday. This morning he was telling me they were eating that bear meat yesterday, last night for dinner, and the younger girl tasted it and says, "Oh my God, it tastes so good." And she's talking to her sister. She says, "You need to go bear hunting again because it tastes so good." And she was like, "Yep, I will.
That's funny.
Yeah, they loved it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, and she handled herself like a pro, and it's awesome getting kids out there. That's for sure. And you could see she was excited.
Now I wasn't there because it was Sever, the male, treed that bear by himself, and then when we got close, and my second dog got there, and so there were only 2 dogs under that tree. And I told everyone, I said, we're just going to let the girl and her father and you, Ben, to approach the tree, and we're going to stay back so we decrease the chances of the bear getting spooked. So I didn't get to see all that encounter. Do you see the bear? Was the bear getting nervous when he saw you?
A little bit. It definitely moved around a little bit.
Yeah, because it's only 2 dogs, and also it took us a long time to get to that tree, so the bear was well rested.
Which, I feel lied to. 2 years ago, we recorded this podcast. You're like, "Oh yeah, my dogs, they hunt like 300 yards out."
Dude.
Well, yesterday we get out of truck. Well, first of all, you dumped them and you start roading them, which you've never told me you rode.
Look,
dogs.
I wasn't planning to, but I forgot they didn't drink anything, and I was hoping they'll find a puddle before we get to the top. That's the only reason I let them out so early.
Well, we start roading them, and then we get to the top, and we park, and you're like, "Huh, I got 1 dog a mile that way and 1 dog a mile the other way."
Yeah.
Let's wait here until we figure out what's going on. One of them's hopefully treed.
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't really road them.
Well, maybe you should, because that seemed to work well.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I will, But yeah, that's what happened. And we lost both dogs, like the Garmin connection. But I trusted the male more than the female that went mile each way. So we decided to go towards the male, and we went half a mile or so. Finally picked him up on the Garmin, and he was barking. He was treed, and the rest was.
Why do you trust him more, especially with him being younger?
Man, he's just stronger, much stronger, and I think that's just my theory. with these dogs, primitive dogs, I think, and again, I might be wrong just because I don't have any experience with hounds, but what do they call it? Pack structure is a lot more important with these dogs. So whomever is the alpha, you can typically tell who the alpha is, and then all the roles within the pack are well defined. So Sever now, he's over 2 years old, and he's strong, and he's powerful, and he's treeing bears by himself, left and right, but he's still not the alpha. One of my females, Bucha, the one that was showing teeth yesterday at some point, I was upset with her, but we'll get to that in a second. We had a conversation with her afterwards. But I think that's what's happening. He's trying to prove himself in the alpha and everybody else around that he is capable, that he's worthy, and he's going to go and do it on his own, just to prove the world that he can.
Yeah.
So I think there's some psychological stuff going on there. Do you think it's possible?
Yeah,
Erik?
I think it's definitely possible that he wanna prove the pack that he's valuable.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, I think I would just, And then when we got there, and we got the bear, we put him up on the ropes, started skinning him, and then we started seeing hounds coming in, right?
Yeah, we had 5 hounds?
Yeah,
6
5
hounds, something.
Yeah.
Come into us.
And that's when they started coming in, Bucha, she wasn't too thrilled about all that.
No.
And again, part of it was because Sever was next to the bear, and I tied her off a little further in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, wait, I'm the alpha. How come he's over there? And what are all these dogs doing in between my bear and me?
Yeah.
So with her, she was just like, and also another thing Erik and I were talking about, because I was on the brink of passing out. And you probably noticed it yesterday.
Yeah, you were definitely exhausted.
Yeah, she may have felt that I was weak,
Mm-hmm.
and she felt extra protective of me. I think
Gotcha.
that's why she was acting like that. That's it. That's all.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because yesterday was the first day for 6 days of hunting that I was in front of Alex on a trail more than 2 minutes.
Well, yesterday he's like, "Oh, you guys passed me. I'm good." I'm like, "Dude, I'm sucking wind keeping up with you, and you don't feel good, so I'm good. I don't need to pass you. If you need a break, we can break. We can take a break."
Yeah, and that guy Jacob, because we weighed what we do, we break down a bear, and then we put it in bags, and then we weigh an empty pack of each hunter, and then we put the meat in the bag, and we weigh the full backpack.
Yeah.
And then we subtract and figure out how much the meat we got in it, and then we just add it all up, and then how we know. And then we weigh the gut pile, so we know the exact weight of every bear we take. And so Jacob, he put some meat in his pack, and he weighed, and it was like 20-some pounds.
Yep.
My pack empty. It was 20 pounds. So, yeah, it's bad, because I carry stuff in it.
Yeah.
Water.
Well, he even said, he's like, "I carry the bare minimum."
Yeah. But then again, his 10 millimeter is on the chest, I think.
Yeah.
My 10 millimeter is on the waist belt of a pack.
Mm-hmm.
So that adds to the weight. And then I carry pliers because we keep running into porcupines, and there's more and more porcupines in my area. And so I have to carry needle-nosed pliers. So that stuff adds, of course, leashes and all that. Nothing really. I looked through it all, and there's nothing really I can take out.
Yeah.
It's just what it is.
I also think your back itself is
the back itself.
it's a heavier.
Yeah.
Because when we packed out the one on Sunday in Tennessee, you were carrying like 90 pounds.
Yeah, 84 or 86, something like that.
Yeah,
So
it was
don't-
87. If you want to get on the perfect number, I was going to try to bump you up and say, but I'm sorry, I tried.
Yeah, no, I tried the Kuyu lightweight pack
Yeah.
for a while, and I don't know. It wasn't my thing. But then I got this Kifaru pack, and that thing's been through so much with me. And
It looks like it.
yeah,
I got some good pictures of all your patches on the wall.
yeah. I'm gonna add the Bobcat patch now.
There you
Just need
go.
to find one. But yeah, no, that pack I've abused it, and it's nothing still ever broken it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not a stitch came apart. Nothing. Just a phenomenal pack.
Yeah.
Well, enough with advertising.
No, Aaron's pretty cool. He's got a good podcast,
Yes, he does.
and he's a photographer too. And I've seen some of his work. He's he's a great photographer. So
Yeah.
it's definitely, granted, I've never met him, never talked to him, but definitely a good product and definitely a cool guy to promote.
Yeah, I've met him a couple of times. He probably doesn't remember. Because I used to go to the ATA shows.
Okay.
He used to go way back when he
Yeah.
was with Brian Cole. But that's like a long time ago.
Yeah. I've seen a few of his videos and stuff. He's a great archery shooter, in general, yet alone he's taken some crazy, went on some crazy hunts. And
Biggest thing though, I think what he needs to be credited for is he shares experience with other people.
Mhm.
And I myself, like every time he does those Q&A on Instagram stories,
yeah,
I flip through those and I read. Some of the stuff doesn't apply to my style of hunting, but some of it is quite relevant, and I always learn from that Q&A thing that he does, and I learned a lot from him.
that's awesome.
Anywho,
Yeah, so we
So
can do a quick summary.
yeah, so you've been here for 10 days, roughly, right?
Yeah, roughly 10 days, I say. Hunted. Actually, this is day number 9.
Okay.
So tomorrow I go back home in the afternoon, so it's going to be 10 days in total. We hunted 6 days, and we didn't have a single day without a bear in a tree.
That's awesome.
Yep.
and a bobcat.
And a bobcat.
I tried to talk him into going coon hunting.
Yeah.
Eric wasn't just too thrilled. But also, truth be told, we'd fall asleep and then 3 o'clock the alarm goes off. So there's really no opportunity for coon hunting.
Yeah, I think it's been 2 mornings where I woke up by the alarm.
Yeah.
So those 2 days I was tired but before that, with the time difference, so Sweden would be 6 hours before. So I woke up at like 2 to 3 a.m.
Before the alarm.
And then I was just, okay, I know I'm going to need to go up in 45 minutes, but I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Yep.
But there were 2 days where the body needed the rest, and then I woke up to the alarm.
That's funny.
But yeah, it's been an amazing trip, and I really love the mountains
Yeah.
now. Like,
And you got to see, like, the only thing you didn't get to see is the fall colors.
you know,
Yeah.
Because, again, if you remember all of those mountains, just imagine seeing the leaves on the trees turn yellow and all those colors. But you got to see some drizzling rain. You got to see some fog, beautiful sunsets.
beautiful
some snow.
sunrises.
Sunrises, mainly sunrises, yes.
Yeah.
Just gorgeous views.
And we did the counting it. We've been through 6 states.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, not necessarily hunting them all.
No,
but
we
just
hunted
traveling.
2 states, but traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've put some miles on, that's for sure. Both walking and in the passenger seat of Alex's truck.
Yeah, man, we spent so much time driving. We talked about some controversial topics about the news, the governments, the everything that's going on in the world, and
Hunting, fishing, and
of course that, and
everything in between.
discussed you a lot. Well,
Me. That's scary.
no, but seriously, we discussed everything. But also the only thing that's left for Erik to do is to go to Cabela's, a Bass Pro Shop, one of those bigger stores.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
we're gonna
do-
try to get that
we'll do it
tomorrow
tomorrow morning,
on the
yeah.
way to the airport.
There you go.
Yeah, there's one not far from where I live in
Okay.
Northern Virginia.
Nice.
We'll go there.
Good deal.
Yeah, I think all in all it was quite eventful.
Oh yeah,
Adventure.
yeah. Like me going here, like sure I'm gonna lie if I say I weren't hoping to get a bear, but like hunting is hunting, right? You never
Yeah.
know. Like you can have bad weather for 5 days and there's nothing you can really do about it. So yeah, it's been amazing. We, as Alex said, we had some rains, but like we really didn't have a single day where it was just bad weather.
Mhm.
Did it rain a few hours? Yes, but like everything was manageable.
Yeah.
And just a big difference from like only walking and hunting in like spruce and pine forest with no really steep hills. Like we have hills, and mountains, don't get me wrong, but they're not as fast going. The terrain doesn't change so fast.
Yeah.
Like here you walk on a, what would you call it, a finger or like a top of a mountain,
Yeah, ridge top.
and then it just drops.
Yeah.
And then a few hundred yards it goes up again.
Hey, you just mentioned different trees and whatnot, and I remember you said something when we were talking bobcats.
Yep.
And by now you know I'm now all about bobcats, but I always wondered how come I guess western and northern bobcats, stay treed longer, and perhaps, well, I don't know if they tree easier, but they are not as jumpy as the ones we have here.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Erik and I brought that up, his first question was, "What kind of trees do they have over there?"
Yeah.
What do you think? What's your theory on that?
Well, I think in that part of America you would have more pine and spruce tree, and it's not as easy for a game to jump from tree to tree.
So different trees, basically.
Yeah, I think it's that. And I think they also feel, especially this time of year, you have no leaves, right?
Yeah.
But spruce will still be fully covered, so I think
So
they
the
also
cat
feel.
feels protected.
I think
there.
they feels more protective in a spruce tree
That's a very good point.
than it would be in a leaf tree without leaves.
Yeah. Because when a bear jumps out, oftentimes it jumps right in the midst of the dogs.
Yeah.
I don't think a cat would do that, because if
No.
it did, it wouldn't last long.
No, they jump further away from the tree.
Yeah. And so, well, yeah, and when it's just one tree, a couple of days ago, whenever that we treed that cat, it was all thick with brush down below, to the point where if we were getting closer to that tree, I was like, is the bear on the ground?
Yeah.
Because I briefly scanned the treetops. I didn't see anything.
You're not seeing a big black bear here,
exactly.
so it's like,
And I'm like, it must be on the ground. And then we got closer, and it was not on the ground. And I looked up, and at first I thought it was a raccoon. But I'm like, something's not right with that raccoon. And I looked closer, and it's a cat. But again, it was old brush under, like on the ground under that tree. So there was nowhere for that cat to jump off and land, unless it jumps and gets caught up in the brush. So that's why I think that particular cat stayed there. And that again, that's what prompted me to think. And then when you asked that question, what kind of trees they got there, that started to make sense. It could be that just different trees.
Yeah, and they might feel safer in a spruce that doesn't lose all the leaves.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah.
Look at that. Dropping knowledge from
Sweden
over here.
We've never been out west, really, especially definitely not hunting bobcats with dogs, but we still have our opinion.
No, it makes sense. I mean, it's a logical, thought process. So,
Yeah, and I think that's what been one of the best part about this week. We've been talking we've been talking about other topics as well, but hunting has been the main one. Just comparing, as I use Russian European Laikas back in Sweden, but I also hunt with West Siberian Laikas. Just comparing the different hunting cultures and all that.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And something that's very clear. I think we touched a bit of this on the top podcast you and me did, Ben, but I think America is a bit lucky. I'm not gonna don't get me wrong, but with the access to public land,
Yeah.
The amount of traveling we did and hunted different locations, there would be a lot of cash in Sweden.
Yeah.
Or you need to know guys. I guess you can say it's similar here. If you know a big farmer that has a big few thousand acres, you can hunt there and no one else can, right? But just that you have access to public land is amazing.
Yeah, because basically in Sweden everything's a lease.
Yeah, everything is a lease. You could buy small game tag on some of the state land, but then you can only hunt small game.
Gotcha.
Which would be capercaillie, grouse, and hare.
One thing I wanted to bring up in the midst of all that discussions and talking while driving, you described a style of hunting moose with dogs that I've never heard of before, and I thought it was pretty cool and fascinating. In fact, fascinating. Where the one that with a what do you call it? Black moose dog? I think you said something like that.
Oh yeah, the Norwegian black moose dog.
Yeah. So describe that.
Okay, so you have some of the Norwegian. I think it would be elk dog, but
Okay.
we don't have elk in Sweden, so
Yeah, they call it moose in
yeah, it would be gråhund in Swedish, or it would be svart gråhund,
Yeah.
or svart norsk älghund.
In English, it's a Norwegian elkhound or a black Norwegian elkhound.
Yeah, so a black Norwegian elkhound, and that with those, you would have it in a leash,
Okay.
and it will silently track the moose for you, and then you would judge how the dog is reacting, if it's a fresh track or not.
Okay.
So then you would pay attention to how the dog is working the track, and then you would know if there's a moose close by. And when the dog gets excited, it should never bark. So you will just judge on how the tail is moving and how it walks and like showcase with the body of the dog that the moose is close by, then you would try to sneak in and find where the moose is, maybe bedded down or feeding.
Yeah. So imagine you're the spot and stop. No, what do we call it? Still hunting through the woods.
Yeah.
With a rifle. You're walking, you're stopping, you're going to stay still for a little bit, then you go slowly for a little further distance, and you stop and wait.
So, like, as Clay Newcomb would say, slipping through the woods.
Right. So instead of this, you're casually walking with your dog, and then finally when the dog reacts, and it tells you by its body language, then you start really stalking and sneaking.
I've heard of that. There's a guy, I think Australia or something, and he trains dogs and has like a little school thing. And I ran across him on YouTube, and now they're using mostly, I think, bird dogs or crosses, random stuff. It's not like it's a certain breed, but they're kind of doing something similar to that, hunting down, like I said, it's either Australia or somewhere like down in that area.
Right. Yeah, no, I just thought it was
But it's
cool.
definitely different.
Yeah.
It's definitely different. And I like, don't get me wrong, there's not that many guys do it in Sweden or Norway, but like there's enough that there's a known breed for it, and with hunting trials and all that. And that's the topic we talked a bit too much about with dog pedigrees and dog shows and hunting trials and all that. And the big difference where I would be cocky and say Europe versus America is like how you do with hunting dogs in general, and if you pay a lot of attention to pedigrees and dog show papers and whatnot.
Basically what we're talking here is a different approach to breeding practices.
Yeah.
So, like we're talking with Erik, would be nice to have a database of all West Siberian Laikas in this country that would show, to have a system where you can field trial, test them, and then it would show pedigrees. You can look up the database that's available to pretty much anyone.
I agree. And maybe, just maybe, Trevor or Alan's listening to this, and maybe someday UKC could do this.
Yeah, we actually talked about that too, about UKC, yes. But
no, but I agree. And that's not even just West Siberian Laikas, for anybody, so even for your hounds. Okay, you hear, somebody, you're scrolling through Facebook and you see some dog, and litter puppies for sale, and they tell you what it's out of, but you're not familiar with that dog. So then you go to the database, you look that dog up, you can see what it's won, you can see okay,
and even pictures of the parents.
Yeah, and it would be like okay. And one thing I would think would be interesting is, all right, this dog is a night champion, but this dog's been entered in 40 night hunts to get to night champion, or this dog's been in 5 hunts to be a night champion.
Yeah.
Like, I would kind of like to know that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it tells me how good of a dog that is. Sure, you can achieve something if you try long enough, but if it comes easier, less tries, it tells me you got a little better dog here or something.
Right. Yeah. But then was like, okay, so to create a database like that, probably going to cost a few thousand, maybe $10,000 if you want to do it right.
Yeah.
Who's going to pay for that? Are people going to pay for it? Like people that want to add their dogs to a database, or people that are using every time they do a search, they pay some small fee to cover the cost of creating that database. If UKC steps up and does that, that'd be great. Just like Erik was telling me that in Sweden they have an organization.
Swedish Kennel Club.
A Swedish Kennel Club that does that, but they have a membership fee. UKC doesn't have that. So over there they pay. What was it?
I think it's like $25 per year.
Per year. So yeah, imagine all UKC members paid $25. Then you can hire some IT guy to come up with a database like that.
Exactly.
Right? Now, would people be? And then it brings another question: would houndsmen and hunters with dogs be willing to pay $25? That's a big question. And something's telling me, and I'll tell you what, that they won't, because every now and again I get a question. Hey, what's going to happen if I cross one of your Laikas with my cur? Or what's going to happen when I cross one of your Laikas with my feist or a hound? And I'm like, no, we can't be friends. So yeah, for the listeners, please don't. don't
You're
don't
not a fan
send
of
me
crossed up dogs, huh?
I mean, that's the whole. I guess maybe I'm wrong, but that's the whole point of keeping the breed within the standard. So you get the consistency is there. You know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
With those Laikas, I'd say. Well, so I've had 3 litters out of this male, and all the pups, as far as I know, are turning out great.
Yeah.
So, and that's because this breed remained the same for who knows thousands of years.
Yeah.
Now, I shouldn't say that because it's been changing when the Soviet Union stepped in, and they kind of, well, yeah, but generally speaking, the breed has remained the same for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And that's where that consistency in every litter comes from. There's still an occasional dud, so to speak, but that's more of an exception to the rules. Some like birth defect or something like that, which can happen to any animal. But in general, the consistency is there.
Yeah.
And but then you cross it with a feist, and you'll get some puppies that will be exceptional. In fact, there are some people on Facebook on those groups, and they show tailgates full of squirrels. Yep. That's phenomenal. But what about the puppies of those puppies in the future litters?
Yeah.
What are they going to be like?
Yep. No, I understand.
And that's where I think, like, from the European point of view, is like, if you have a breed, like, we can ignore the fact that Laikas is probably at least a few hundred or if not 1,000 years old. They would have been looked similar, like, but the breed standard is from the 60s.
Yes.
And since then it's been the same. And if you go to the Swedish database or the Russian database or the Finnish database, you can track a dog back 5, 6, 8, 10 generations.
Yeah.
And you can see all the papers, all the dog shows. You can, at least in the Swedish and the Finnish ones, you can see if any dog got any kind of disease. So veterinary information. So if you have a dog that gets seizures or bad hip or anything like that, you can see that. So then you can see, oh, this line of bloods has 5-10% chance of getting bad hips. So then we're gonna not use that bloodline anymore.
Okay.
And as a breeder, you would contact the breeder, like a breeding group that would. So if you have a female, then you call up to these would be the Swedish Laika club, and then they're gonna come back with you and tell you, we have 6 males that we think would be a good match for your dog.
Okay.
And then as an owner, you can either like listen to it, or you can pick another male at all. But you need to follow some different criterias for the puppies to be recommended by the Laika club.
Gotcha.
And most serious puppy buyers would buy from litters that's recommended by the Laika club, because then they know it's been checked by an outsource or someone else that's not related to the dog.
Yeah.
Has judged that this female plus this male should produce good puppies.
Mm-hmm.
And the inbreeding is low.
So it's kind of a mixture of like the German system where they mandate you doing X, Y, and Z, and the Americans of we can do whatever we want. You kind of have this, this is recommended, but you don't have to do it.
Yeah, and then you would have to submit I want to try this male instead. And then they're going to say, like, as long as there's nothing wrong, they're going to say, yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's been some of the topics we had.
No, I think a database would be very valuable, especially for breeding and, people that are serious about it and looking at long term.
Yeah. The problem is it costs money.
Yeah.
And even I have some buddies that are in IT business industry. And I talked to them and I said, look, it's not as simple as you think it is. We would love to help you out, but seriously, it's not as simple. It sounds simple. What is it, like a database that pulls up a few points of information in a picture? Sounds like no big deal, but to do it right, I guess it's a lot more involved.
Yeah.
I don't really know much about IT anymore. So, who's going to pay for it? That's the question.
No, and that's why I said maybe UKC, because that would make the most logical sense for them to, whether that's off of registration money, whether that's off of a membership, I don't know, but and they also have a lot of that information already,
Right.
where, you know,
Well, or most of it, anyways.
Yeah.
They might not have pictures, right?
they might not have pictures, they might not have, they certainly wouldn't have like veterinary information, but they would at least have all the pedigree information.
Yeah.
Where if somebody just wanted to create a database, now you've got to go track all that information down, which would be time consuming, and obviously time is money, so it would be expensive.
Yeah, yeah, because it's those databases, the Russian ones. Sometimes I get carried away. It's like it's better than scrolling Facebook feed.
Oh yeah, you can get stuck for a few hours
Yeah, look
looking
at
at
different
Laika
dogs.
papers. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I would click on one of my dog's the ancestor, and I'll click at his daddy, and then so on, sire, and so on and so forth, and I end up somewhere with a dog from like 1970 something, where I usually go as far back as the pictures, whenever the pictures started,
Yeah.
being added to the database, or I guess they didn't have pictures way back when. Obviously, the database did not exist in 1970s.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, whenever the database was created, they added all the dogs as far back as they could, and whenever they could find a picture, they added that. And it's just interesting because, like, I would look at my mail and I see it, look at the puppies that he sired, and I would notice certain things, and I'm like, that's interesting. Let me look and see if I can find that same trait in some of his bloodline.
Yeah.
And I go back like 3-4 generations, and sure enough, same thing pops up. I'm like, oh, cool. So it came from there. And so that's just, sometimes it's just, it's fun.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
But needless to say, it can be really useful when you're like, what Erik was telling me on the way here when we're driving, is like you can go and, like, let's say you have a female and you want to breed her, and so you want to create a search request, a male 3 to 6 years old with these field test results or achievements.
Yeah.
With bloodline that's remote enough, so low inbreeding coefficient, so just certain search parameters.
Yeah.
And it shows you 25 different dogs that fit your description. And then
That's
you
awesome.
can reach out to the owners and be like, hey, I don't know you, you don't know me, but I have a dog that we might have something going on here.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool
No,
would that be?
and I think that's cool because, like, for me, like, I don't necessarily promote my dogs in a night hunt, or I'm not out there, showing pictures of my dog. Well, and Erik he can find me through that database, or vice versa.
Right.
It's not like you have to have the top stud of the day for somebody to find you.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that would be very valuable. That's for sure.
I also think it's valuable as a puppy buyer because, like, you can call the owner of the female, you can call the owner of the male, you can call other owners of a previous leader,
Mm-hmm.
and in theory they can always be 100% truthful, but the owner of the male might not tell you that 4 generations ago that dog
was biting people.
That dog was biting people, or that dog left some sort of sickness that a few percent might get. Like,
might show up.
not everyone will get it, but a few percent will get it. And then you can, like, read how a field judge or a dog show judge graded the dog. Was the dog aggressive?
Okay.
Did he show any, like, and then and that's someone else judging a dog.
Yeah. Somebody
Like,
outside of it.
Yeah, I think in general, you can correct me if this doesn't apply to American hound people or dog people in general, or dog hunters, but you're gonna have one side that has dogs that's gonna say, I only have trash at my leash. Like, we might tree a squirrel or a bear here and there, but, like, they're no nice champions. And then you're gonna have the other side that's gonna say they're the best dogs ever, and somewhere in the middle probably is the truth.
Yeah.
And the big plus side I see from outside, when you have someone from the outside judge your dog, is that they shouldn't be biased.
Exactly. You've got an impartial
and it doesn't
viewpoint.
It doesn't even, like, for example, from my Russian European Laikas that I have, the hunting trials we have right now is, as the Russian European Laikas is part of the moose dog group in Sweden. So the hunting trials I can go for right now is kinda written how you want a Norwegian Elk hound or a Jämtund to hunt. So it wouldn't
A what?
Jämthund,
What's a
Swedish moose hound.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's all right. I just didn't know what that was.
Yeah, no, so this it's a bigger.
It resembles the Norwegian Laika.
No, elk hound.
Elk hound, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, they're kind of.
It's a bit
spits,
bigger.
but it's a different size.
So the hunting trials I can go for with my Laikas would be, they're not made for those breeds, but they're written with those breeds in mind.
Mhm.
Which means how I want my Laikas to hunt might not give me a full grade. Like I can do a hunting trial, and then the top score would be a 1 score, and then 2 and 3, and then 0, which can't be judged. But I can do a field trial, get an unbiased opinion on my dog, and then the judge gonna type a story.
Okay.
So then maybe as a puppy buyer, if I would breed my young female now, might check, oh, he started a hunting trial, he only got a 3 grade. But when I read the story of the hunting trial, that's how I want my dogs to hunt.
Yeah.
So you can use a hunting trial, even though if I would start my female, there's no realistic way I will get the top score.
Mhm.
But I will still start it because to get the unbiased story, this is how the dog hunts. It searches out this far.
Well, even with comparing it to an American system with hounds, the dog has a night champion degree. That is very black and white. That doesn't give you a lot of information.
Right.
That doesn't tell you how the dog hunts. A dog can be a night champion, and you can have 100 night champions, and they could all be different. So, how does that dog hunt? How does that dog handle? And what you like in a dog and what I like in a dog could be vastly different things. And we could both, be looking at the same litter of puppies because they're out of night champion dogs. But where I like what you're saying is that, there's actually a write-up of...
A good example would be my dogs would probably get low score on ranging out and searching.
Yeah, before striking a track.
Right, because we follow a ridge top with like drop-offs on each side. If my dogs were going half a mile each way, within the first half hour or hike, they'd be exhausted, just climbing up and down those cliffs and mountains. I want them to stay here with me until we follow an easy ridge top or trail. And when they do find a track, I want them to have all the energy, not wasted, but preserved, and then go after that bear, engage and tree.
Yeah.
So the right top would say, well, this dog stayed at his feet all the time, but then the bear was in a tree.
Yeah.
Which is not quite what you experienced, but it was just different. But, but for someone that lives on flatland, be like, no, that's not going to work for me. I want the dog to search, range out. But my dogs don't, because if they did in the mountains, in that terrain, they would exhaust themselves.
Yeah.
Way too quick.
No, and then if you bred your dogs for the next 40 years like that, in 40 years, those puppies probably aren't going to range. Your dogs are first generation, so a lot of that's probably training more than
genetics.
Oh,
yeah, I'm convinced, yeah.
But if you bred for that generation after generation after generation, in 40 years from now, those dogs probably won't range,
But see, I don't think I'm breeding for that, and I don't, because, like, if I had a dog, like my male, he used to drive me crazy, because he would, we used to call, he would go on excursions. He would do just that. He would but he was strong, so he could afford himself to run and left and right. But now that he's getting more experienced, he's getting smart, and he's not wasting as much of his energy anymore.
Yeah.
So that so typically whenever Sever, the male, took off, that means there was something he was chasing.
Yeah.
Where when he was young, he would just go and I would lose him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, am I ever going to see this dog? Eventually he'd come back, or he'd go back to the truck. But he was doing that. Will I breed for that next time? No, that wouldn't, because I know I can train that out. If, let's say, I get a pup that ranges out, he will actually train himself out of this, because he'll quickly understand that in this terrain it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and I also think, like, just in theory, if you would bring Alex pups, or like, let's say you would have Sever grown up in Europe or in Russia, where you need a dog to range out, and you wouldn't walk as much as Alex do, I'm 100% sure Sever would be on 600-800 yards loops to search for game. But as Alex just said, like, he walks the ridge top, and then the dogs learn, because Laikas are in that way extremely smart. They learn what works to get what they need for the pack. So they have learned by now that if we stay kinda is close to Alex, he's gonna take us to where we hit the hot trail.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, on Saturday, the first day we hunted with Sever, you said that was one of the first time he really went, because he went 3-4 miles trying to chase that bear, probably. And then since that day, he have done a little bit longer loops.
Well, and that's because we ended up killing that first
exactly.
bear.
And
so he got a reward. That's your typical training. You know,
So that's the exactly
reinforcement.
That's exactly the same thing. If we do have a moose dog or like a Laika that barks, let's say it bays the first moose for 2 hours and then you shoot it. The next time you wait 3 hours and you shoot it. But if it bays up for 5 hours, then you never go there and shoot it. Then that dog is gonna probably start, once it gets a age up, it's gonna stop baying it for longer than 3-4 hours. So you can kind of control how you want your dog to hunt. If you would leave a dog to bay for 24 hours and then you go there and shoot it the day after, you're gonna end up with as some of my friends said, where they can't hunt on a Sunday because if their dog finds a moose, they're gonna stay at the moose for 20 hours and baying it. And if you're then unlucky and it's on the wrong lease, then you can't go in there and shoot it.
Yeah.
So then you're gonna go in there, you're gonna bump it, and then it's gonna end up you need to throw yourself on the dog and try to catch it when it goes over a road. And that's the reason why I have Laikas, because I feel that if I hunt them enough, they're gonna hunt the way I wanna hunt them.
Yeah. They're smart enough to figure it
Yeah,
out.
they're smart enough to figure out how do my pack wants me to hunt. And I think it is the same, like with Bucha, which I sadly gave a evil name to, so I'm not gonna drop that here. But
She's gotten much better though.
yeah. She was a bit chunky in the start of the week, but
Well,
it's
that's because the deer season for Victor, my hunting buddy and my business partner, has been good. And between him and his daughters, they killed like 9 deer.
Nice.
And they've been feeding them dogs, and Bucha being the alpha, she would steal some meat from the other dogs. So she gained some weight. So when Erik came, when he looked at that dog, he was like, "What's wrong with this dog? She's fat." She was fat, but she's gotten a little better.
Yeah. But she would stay a lot more closer to Alex than the other 2 dogs.
Yeah.
Because she learned, like, why would I waste energy? I'm going to wait for the one in the lower pecking order in the pack.
Do the work, leg work.
To find the fresh track, and then I'm going to join them.
Yeah.
But so that's what people usually say, because they people that come out hunting with me, they would ask me, so which one of those dogs do you like the most? And I always say Bucha. And I'm like, but why? Because she seems to be staying here. She doesn't seem to be doing any work. But what they don't realize is if I was to leave all the dogs home and I take just her, she'd tree a bear by herself, no problem. But when there's other dogs, she just stays with me. I'm like, I'm not going there. Why would I if they want to do it? Now, if I hear them jump and bark, I'll go in and I'll engage, and that bear is going to be up a tree in no time. So, yeah, is she lazy? Maybe. Maybe it's a little bit of both, smart and lazy.
Yeah.
Kind of like me.
I don't think you're lazy, Alex.
I'm right there with Erik. I don't think you're lazy at all.
I don't know. Anyhow.
But yeah, it's been amazing. And
That's awesome.
we met some amazing guys as well that have helped with the hunt. They got to shoot some bears.
So there's one guy that just pulled up his hammock, put it up, and he just chilled.
What?
It was the day before yesterday. We had, he's a good friend of mine. He's probably not listening. But
You hope.
He just stayed because they're like, I'm going to stay with the truck. And he just pulled out a hammock and set up, and we went off hunting, and he just chilled there. But then when we got the bear and we dragged him out to the nearest road, the guys ran up the road, and because we left he actually brought 2 radios with him and gave us one.
I think that was his plan along.
Yeah.
That
He's
we're
like,
gonna
I'm
be
going to
able
stay
to
with the truck and just relax. He couldn't start a fire because it's been so dry, and they actually said it's illegal. But him and I, this friend of mine, last year we went out, and it was actually snow on the ground, and he started a fire while it was taking care of his bear. It felt really nice to have a fire going.
Yeah.
So he has his unique approach to bear hunting. Anyways, he knows how to really enjoy bear hunting. Let's put it this way.
There you go.
While we're just suffering there. He enjoys it.
I've enjoyed every bit of it, though.
So do you think you're going to come back?
Yes, I have to.
I think we should explore West.
Yeah, exploring West America.
New Mexico.
That would be
somewhere
amazing.
out
There
west.
you go.
Go after some color-phased bears, cinnamon color.
There
How cool
you
would
go.
that be?
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be fun, though, to go back and try to bring one of my dogs with me the next time. But, yeah, this time around, it didn't feel like doing all the hassle with it.
Yeah, I can understand.
But, like, yeah, it would be fun to see how one of my dogs or so would do. on
It's
the
just taking
backpack.
this. We've all heard that and experienced that, saying that these dogs, they take us to some places that you never thought you would end up.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to think, like, every time we end up at some waterfall or some cliff.
You've ended up some crazy, awesome places. That's
But
for
this year, Erik's experience is taking that saying to the next level, because now the dogs are taking us across the ocean now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now we're thinking, well, I don't know. Hopefully this
Now
will play
we're
out.
gonna have to do it. There's
'Cause,
no if.
in Sweden, they can hunt lynx.
Yeah.
They have a Eurasian lynx, I guess it's
Yep.
called. So it's bigger than bobcat. Is it bigger than Canada lynx?
I'm not gonna.
But it's a big cat.
Yeah.
It's a big
it's
cat.
a big cat.
And I'm thinking, I want to take my male and hunt lynx in Sweden.
That would be awesome.
So that's places that our dogs take us.
Yeah.
That's taking it to the next level.
Well, I definitely want to hear about that when that happens.
Well, yeah, I hope it will. Yeah, and Wolverine. I can't even say that word. Wolverine. From what I understand, there's a quota.
Yeah.
So it's
So I
really
think in a
hard to
few
get one.
years the quota might be a bit higher on the Wolverines
Yeah.
because that population
But
is
I'm
going
kinda-
up fast.
Yeah, but I'd be a little worried about the dog getting hurt. I've heard some crazy stories about those things.
Yeah.
But a lynx, for sure. So there's a lot more fun stuff to do out there.
And I think
Good
this
deal.
is like it's amazing, as Alex said, where the dog takes us. It's like if it wasn't for you and me being connected on Go Wild a few
Yeah.
years ago, we would never done the podcast that we did the first time, and
Yeah.
I would never probably founded your podcast to listen to Alex's story and was like, oh, there's a guy running West Siberian Laikas of black bears in America. I need to talk with this guy. And then
Here you are.
a year or so go by, and here I am. It's been amazing.
That's awesome. Well, I know I had a blast yesterday, and I appreciate you guys coming up and recording this podcast with me.
Yeah, been a blast.
Anything else?
Nothing that I have right now, I think.
No, that's it. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I got one more thing. Are you still recording?
Oh, yeah.
So I seen those merchandise, the T-shirts, and
Yeah.
what else? You got hoodies
Oh, yeah.
with different dog breeds,
Yeah.
with your own pictures, right? Your own
Yep.
photographs you took. So there's several people in this country and overseas that were asking if there's any chance there might be a Laika shirt
We're
coming
going
out.
to have to work on that.
And maybe a Bloodhound too. What's up with the Bloodhounds? Those are cool.
They are cool. I don't know. I've got some plot photos, just nothing that I found that was like that one.
Okay, but it's not like you're anti Bloodhound.
No.
Okay, just making
Not
sure.
at all. I own. Well, I currently own a half plot hound and
Okay, yeah.
co-own his father.
Gotcha. All right. Well, so hopefully we'll be able to order
Yes.
some
At some point, we just got to make sure that with all the breeds that I've missed, it's just a matter of, do I have a really good photo of that breed?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So
Well, that's exciting. We'll wait for it to come out, and I'm sure
Well,
there'll be people interested.
you're the one that's got to have to help me make it happen. So
We'll make it happen. Yep. There's a lot of coon hunting we can do and
yep,
other fun stuff.
definitely. So like Alex just said, do have some new merch. There is a Treeing Walker shirt, a Blue Tick shirt, a Redbone shirt, and a Black and Tan shirt, plus the old original design that's ambiguous, doesn't have a breed per se. So check them out at treetalkin.com. Also check out sponsors, Conkeys, W, and Full Cry. We're getting close to deadline, so I'm not sure if you order anything now, what you'll get before Christmas, but definitely check them out. Thank you.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talkin' Media. And until next time, keep 'em talking in the timber.